Hey guys, here's part 3 for Waltz for Lavignia, the tutorial. And in the first two parts I talked about the first section of the tune, the first 4 chords. Then I went into the longer chords, having the C major 7, which also has a sharp 11, and then A major 7 sharp 11, right? And then the E minor 7, which is the longest of all of the harmonies, because that's an 8-bar section. And the build-up of the melody, which, again, just to repeat it. So after I got to that section, I resolved on, of course, the tonic of what would be the original key, D. I didn't think about it that way, it just led me to that. So moving up diatonically. Now that could go back to D, but I went to C minor 9, which was a nice way to make a key change, going from the E minor and I've used that key change a couple times before. It's one you'll find in a few tunes that I know of, but what I did was I went to that. Now this was also a very difficult thing about the melody, because I wanted to specifically get certain notes. So I went up to that C minor 9, or now there was a difficult thing, because I ran into a roadblock, because I was like, well, what am I going to do after that C minor 7? I could go to it, so I went to 5. So C minor 7, D half diminished, G. It's a logical thing to do. But then I was looking, where am I going to go from there? And I just happened to be looking through the real book, and I stumbled upon, I don't remember which tune it was, it's a tune from Wayne Shorter, and there were 3 chords that I saw that he was using. He went from an A minor something to an F sharp 7. And then of course he resolved on the 1, which would have been B major 7, and I said, that's cool, I like that. I played it and I went, that sounds kind of cool. You know, but I was trying to figure out how to get it to work. Now just because I had the framework of the chords for that didn't mean I had a melody, you know, and I hadn't heard the tune from Wayne Shorter. I'd have to go back and access it somewhere. I don't even remember which tune it was. So that was something I looked at, and this is something I've talked about. You know, you can look through the real book, through any composition. If you see 2 or 3 chords you like that somebody used, that's open territory for you to take and make your own thing out of it. You've got to put the thread together, which is the melody, and that's what I had to do. I had the chords, and I liked the sound of it. You know, A minor, I played A minor 9. And went to this F sharp 7 sharp 9. And I like the way that moves, so I basically had this. And that seemed to work well. That was a nice juxtaposition of you know, key changes. Kind of a 2-5-1, but not exactly. And so I went, okay, now the melody. I had this. That's all I had. And I had to figure out how to get to the key change. So I heard chromatics, and when I play the chord melody, you'll see that it's this. 13 flat 9, and moving that up. Really nice change. I mean, I was like, wow, that's cool. I like that. So it, again, this is part of the chord melody, which I'll do a whole version of that too on a separate video. And then I kept that theme. And going to that chord change with the F sharp. You can hear that, and it's in the chord. You'd have A minor 7 or A minor 9. Sharp 9, flat 9. And the resolution on that B was my, this note here, the B flat. or the A sharp. So here's the melody just by itself from the C minor. And then I just heard going up a half step to end my phrase. And that would be 2-5-1, which is again, it's a 2-5-1 back to the original key of D. But then I wasn't going to resolve it on that D. I went back to that second chord, G minor 7, and I did this. And then I did a D over F sharp, and then F13. So I went between those. It was kind of an ostinato, and with the chords. And to end it, a 2-5-1. Took this top note here, the G, for the, and of course triads. Right, this is from a G major. So I've got outline the triad and then the flat 9. Because when I wrote this tune, I had an introduction that I had thought about as well before those first couple of chords. Was an A7 flat 9, and I was going between that, this open voicing here, and I'll put that in the PDF, and then the 13 flat 9. This is cool because I can put the F sharp in there. So the melody on top of that is much like the theme of, has a similar kind of a thing to it, and there's a connection to that. So that's how the tune starts. And then of course it goes to the A section, the melody. So, but that's how I came up with the melody. And this part here, I really spent literally hours trying to figure out to get that little passage to make those chords fit with the melody. And this is something that we do when we work on other tunes, to find solo passages that work very well over the chords. It's important to take the time. If it doesn't come out really quickly, it might be that there's something inside there that you have to pick apart and really give some thought to. And in the case of this A minor 9 to the F sharp 7 sharp 9, and to the B major, whatever the B major was. I mean, I heard that movement, but I wanted to make sure that I really got that, you know, to fit with the right melody note. And I've often said this, there are, you know, the perfect tunes that have just that note only could be that melody note. But I really feel like those notes had to be the melody notes. They told me it was, I had spent a lot of time looking and listening, and in the end, I picked those specific notes, and they worked very well, especially the... And you can see that I'm referring to other chords, other parts of the tune again. And this is something that's important in composition, is to somehow tie together the beginning and the end. You know, and I wasn't specifically saying I have to do that right here, but it just seemed to lend itself to that kind of sound, and those chords worked very well to do that and to get me back. And this is not anything unusual. It's just like a, you know, like a turnaround kind of a thing that you would find in a, you go to the E minor from there, but very, you common things that you've heard before, but when you do that, like with the Wayne Shorter 3 chords that I took, make them your own. Put your melody in there and see how you can connect those. And it's a good exercise for not only composition but also for soloing, because you learn about what notes are the best notes to connect those chords. So that's the entire melody of Waltz for Lavignia in these 3 parts. In the next video I'm going to break down some soloing ideas. I talked a little bit about the first 4 chords in the first video, but I'll get more in depth about some cool things you can do. And things that I'm still working on, because like I said, when I did the recording of it on the DBT record, I had to really give some thought to how to maneuver through those chords, and I like the solo. I mean, it was a refreshing thing to play it on the acoustic guitar, because it's a guitar that I didn't play a lot, and in the studio I just put the cans on and soloed, and it felt right. There was a nice thing happening, and I took a couple passes at it, and that's what happened. So chew on this. You've got the PDF, you've got the recording of it, and take a look at the other videos I've done so far, and the 4th one is coming up.